this video, I will be talking about and explaining Dead by Daylight for new players. I'm not a qualified expert to explain every single detail, but I'm better than someone who's just started, hopefully. So, let's start with the video. Dead by Daylight is a 4v1 asymmetric horror game where your goal is to complete all the generators in the map, escape, and then remind the opponent that you're better than them in the endgame chat. While the killer's goal is to not let the survivors escape, sacrifice them, and then remind them that they're inferior to you in the endgame chat. Or that's how it looks on Outsider. I swear, after almost 2000 hours, there are still new mechanics in game I'm finding out about. The reason you're probably watching this is because a friend told you, hey, this game is fun and you should play it with me. What you don't know is that while they were saying that, there were flashbacks in their mind of pain and suffering. They want you in hell with them so they won't suffer by themselves. And the only way for that to happen is to play as a survivor. So, let me start by explaining the survivor role. There are 45 different survivors currently in the game, both original created by Behavior, the company that owns the game, and licensed from known movies such as Halloween, A Nightmare on Elm Street, and Resident Evil. Every survivor comes with 3 unique perks that can change your playstyle drastically. Those perks can be used on any survivor, so as for the progress system, all you want to do is level up all the survivors to level 50, in which case that survivor perks will be unlocked to all other survivors. And then you pick one survivor you think is the most attractive and level him up until he gets all the perks you've unlocked. You can only use 4 perks in a match, so you should read through the perks and figure out which ones are good. I'm looking at you, Claudette. Get out of my games. If I see you self-care one more time in my games, I'll offer you to the entity myself. I should note here that there are 3 types of currency in the game: blood points, which you use to level up characters and earn by playing matches; iridescent shards, which you earn by leveling up your account, which levels up by playing matches and can be used to unlock new characters and cosmetics for them; and orixels, which can only be purchased with IRL money. Why would you want to do that though? Because all the licensed characters can only be purchased with orixels, which is not that important because there is a whole different system called Shrine of Secrets, which will allow you to get those characters' perks for iridescent swords, but that will take ages. You have to get lucky, and even though your survivor doesn't matter, the killer has special abilities, so if you're playing killer, it does matter. As I noted before, this game is not a hide-and-seek game. Even though it seems that way, in its core, the main objective of the survivor is to either complete generators or waste the killer's time. Killing and hooking others too, but I'll talk about that later. As a survivor, you can be hooked twice, which is the way the killer kills survivors. A third hook kills you, in which case... Other than the hook stages, as we call them, as a survivor you have 3 states: healthy, injured, and downed. If you are injured, it means the killer has injured you in some way, usually by a hit we call an M1. If you're healthy, a hit would make you injured. If you're injured, a hit would make you downed. If you are downed, the killer can pick you up and carry you to a hook, effectively removing one of your 3 hook stages' lives. While you're on hook, there is a timer in the form of a health bar next to your icon, which indicates that if you stay in the hook for more than 70 seconds, you will go to the next hook stage. So from the first hook health to second, and from second to GG, go next noob. Basically, if your health bar is about 50%, you're still in the first hook stage, and below is the second one. While you're on hook, you can attempt to unhook yourself, depending on your health bar, up to a maximum of 3 times. Now, this is something you should never do. I'm looking at you, Meg. The chance of you escaping the hook yourself is about 4%, but performing the action of self-unhooking will move you to your next hook stage faster, effectively losing the game for everyone because the game is about 80% harder for survivors if there are only 3 survivors left. So you sit like a good person on the hook until I come get you, Meg. But then why does the self-unhook mechanic exist? For very special occasion, which I won't get into this video, just take my word for it, don't do it. You will notice that when you unhook someone, they will crouch. In survival language, that means heal me, which is something everyone can do. Everyone can heal other survivors through an interaction of 16 seconds. You should remember that because someone is healing you, they are effectively staying there for 16 seconds healing you instead of doing generators, effectively costing the team 32 seconds of generator time. I'm not saying you shouldn't heal, what I am saying is in some scenarios healing is not what should take priority, especially if you self-care, Claudette. Alright, this is the part where everyone sucks and you will be flexed upon by survivors with 8,000 hours and 0% social status. The most impressive skill you can have as a survivor is the knowledge and skill to run away from the killer as he's chasing you and never get caught. When the killer is chasing you, your role is to 1. Don't get hit. 2. Waste the killer's time as your team is doing generators. 3. Waste as few resources on the map as possible, and 4. Get the killer away from the generators that are being repaired. Let me repeat that one. Away from the generators that are being repaired. Very often what will happen is the survivor that is in chase with the killer will bring the killer on his teammates while they're trying to fix a generator, which will always frustrate you often. It's not always their fault because sometimes they don't have another path to take, but most of the time it is their fault because they have 0% awareness and can't think for more than 5 seconds into the future, so they deserve to be frowned upon. Myself included, I do that sometimes. Oh, don't look at me, Meg. You do it every time, and I'm pretty sure half the times it's on purpose. Anyway, the act of being in chase with a killer is called looping, and there are small structures around the map called loops. Your job as you're looping is to loop the killer around and through that structure to milk as much time as possible from it without being hit, which you will do by vaulting through windows and dropping pallets. Windows can be vaulted to a maximum of 3 times unless the killer has a perk for that, which will create distance between the two of you because killers vault windows significantly slower. And the pallets can be dropped either on the killer or between you and them to block their path, unless they have a perk for that. And if you do this 100% correctly, you will be able to connect your looping path from the structure you just used to another one and keep looping them, unless they have a perk for that. And if you get hit, it's okay. It's your chance to create big distance between you and the killer. Reset your position on the map and reach better loop structures, unless they also have a perk for that. See, simple stuff. Run, vault, drop pallets, teabag. Teabagging is part of the combo, it's important for this to work, so don't forget it. So, allow me to give you some tips. Don't run all the time. In this game, running creates scratch marks behind you that the killer can notice and use to find you and follow you. So avoid running unless you are already being chased or you know the killer is already chasing someone else. How will you know that? There will be an indicator on the screen to your left where some bones shake around your teammate. You lucky, I didn't have those tools in my days. Also, you'll not be hearing music, which means the killer is not close to you. Unless they have a perk for that. In the beginning, you will be destroyed mostly because every killer needs to be looped in a different way and you will have to take different decisions based on killers. For example, if you're playing against Legion, don't heal. You're playing against a Huntress, don't vault. You're playing against a Nurse, don't play. Seriously, get out of there and do it fast, or you will also have nightmares. But jokes aside, you will have to get killed many times until you figure out how to play against every killer. And what's the best thing to do against them? Like reading pallets for Huntress, like cutting vision between you and Nurse, like praying to God that Chuck is not chasing you. If you're not in chase, please do some generators. Yes, the map is pretty. Yes, chests look cool. But if we all die, I'll express myself in your Steam account profile, because I can barely hold my sanity when the game just started and someone is opening a chest, but breaking a totem, there's a special place in hell for them. Also, keep in mind that there are 7 generators in the map and you need to complete 5 of them. All 7 generators are kinda evenly spread, so if possible try to do the generators in the middle so you can create 2 sides on the map for the killer to focus, forcing him to waste time by going from one side of the map to the other, and to avoid having the last 3 generators next to each other, making it incredibly easy for the killer to patrol. There are ethics in this game. I will be covering those ethics in a future video called the Dead by Daylight Moral Rules, but most important one is don't be a selfish. If your teammate is on the hook, go pull them out, even if it kills you. And if you're about to exit the gate and escape, but your teammate is still inside, don't leave. Maybe you can take a hit for them. And for sake, Claudette, stop self-caring. What are some great starter perks in my opinion you can use? Bond is a teachable perk you can get from the survivor called Dwight, a starter survivor. The perk Bond reveals the location of all your teammates within 36 meters from you. If you are a more experienced player, you can tell where your team's location is and what they're doing based on game logic, but as for a beginner, it's a good perk to have. Botany knowledge. This perk increases the speed at which you heal others by 50% when not using a medkit. It's a great perk to save time from healing others on a beginner level. Not much more to explain on that. Jake Park can provide you with the perk Iron Will. Once the godly perk we all worshipped until it got nerfed to the ground and then brought back to life as a half-dead zombie. It's a very good perk now, making your survivor silent when you are in the injured state, which is better than which gives away your position when you're hiding if the killer is using, headphones. And finally, Unbreakable, a perk owned by Bill, which allows you to pick yourself from the ground state once. If your teammates are keeping the killer busy and maybe once in a full moon where the planets align with each other, you will be able to use this perk. And except from the fact that it's so satisfying to use, you deny the killer the value of the time he wasted on chasing you. As for the perks you will think are cool but should stay away from, Sprint Burst. This perk allows you to run like your parents just received your school grades, but it activates the moment you sprint and then causes you to be exhausted, which is a whole mechanic by itself, like it's on cooldown, shared by many perks, yada yada yada. The main point here is that the perk is strong but not easy to use for beginners. Self-care. Claudette and self-care. Self-care is a perk that gets noticed a lot by new players because they read the perk and realize they can heal themselves whenever they want. But they always miss the part where it says at 35% normal speed, effectively making your heal take 45 seconds, which is more than it would take if 2 people wasted their time normal healing, which would result in 32 seconds wasted. Plus, self-care players don't use that perk once. They get hit, they run away, and do it over and over and over and over and over and over, which results in you wasting time equivalent to you finishing all 5 gens by yourself and escaping, or me getting a second college degree. But Claudette also has botany knowledge. You didn't mention her name in the perk. Yes, and the kid that beat me up at school once told me he was sorry, but does that erase the past? And no, you're not allowed to use botany knowledge with self-care. Yes, you would reduce your healing time to 30 seconds, but you're using 2 perk slots to just waste less time. Just don't use self-care. In the end, what's important is that you enjoy yourself, and you will do that by destroying the killer while looping him or destroying him with some amazing and funny plays. After a lot of time, and I do mean a lot of time, unless you are willing to sacrifice your credit card to the game's entity, you will have so many perks where your new enjoyment is trying different perks and making fun builds that significantly change the way you play, resulting in some fun moments. Honestly, winning is based on what you feel is a win. Maybe escaping is a win for you. Maybe it's not a win for you unless your whole team escapes. Maybe when the killer creates a text which is 80% asterisks in the endgame chat, maybe that's a win for you. That's a win for me. Point is that this game is deeper than it seems. And more than I have explained. I have simply scratched the beginner stuff in this video, and honestly I haven't explained everything a beginner needs to know, but I'm trying to make this video smaller than it has to be. There are more things I can talk about, but they require you to have some base knowledge before you understand them. Also, personal note, I don't care if you came here after watching a clip from Odd's montages, please don't follow me for 4 minutes while I'm looping the killer to do a usually failed flashlight save attempt. You think you're helping, but if you were doing generators this whole time, the door would be opened by now for me to escape. That's what would help me. Honestly, this game will make you suffer in more ways than I can describe, but believe me, it's worth it. Once you go through the pain, it's worth it. Oh my god, Claudette is still self-caring.